There's nothing more annoying than constantly losing. Like that's just, and I mean at practice because we do keep score at practice while you're going. But I mean I've got to remind myself that's the same exact feeling that all of the wrestlers and jiu-jitsu guys have when it comes to the striking days of practice when they're with me. They can't, they just keep coming. They keep being kicked in the head, punched in the head. They knock down with body shots. They just keep rolling through because that's the job. Like for me to come in 2 days of jiu-jitsu be wondering why I can't tap out black belts would be ridiculous. It would be ridiculous. Yeah. Like that's how when I was younger, that would have been the case. Like, oh man, this ain't no fun for me. Yeah. But I've been just sticking with it, and just the more you do it, the better you get at it. And just like Dragon Ball Z cartoons, the more you get beat up, the stronger you get. And the more I get submitted, the more I get taken down, the more I get smashed around, the better I get at not having that happen.
So I was talking to Red Schaefer earlier, and he was talking about the gym and a guy like Razak Alessano came up there a couple months ago, and he said his learning curve is just sick. He never learned. Schaefer was saying he never learned that quickly. This guy's picking up stuff left and right. Do you feel like you can pick it up as quick?
My jiu-jitsu is better than people think. My wrestling is better than people think. But like I've told people before, you can do it as live as you want in practice. It'll never be a real fight. So I've got one experience with jiu-jitsu and wrestling in a fight. Just one time I've had one chance to actually do it live, and like I said, my triggers just didn't go off. I knew what to do, I didn't know which one exactly to do. I did like 7 moves at one time and ended up nulling out. So it's getting there. Like I said, it's what the main part that's growing the most is just being more relaxed instead of panicking and spazzing out.
You were saying earlier before we went on, you were talking about some of the young guys. We were talking about Anthony Pettis and just the advantage of a guy being able to start at, say, 10 or 14 or 16 years old. Obviously, they don't have to catch up. And they're training and everything.
Man, those guys are not only are they starting at really young age, like Anthony Pettis. We've got a guy named Chico Camus. We've got all kind of guys. Dan Downs. Anthony's younger brother, Serge, is just ridiculous, and he's only like 16. Not only are they starting at a young age, but they're starting at a young age in training with us, high-level guys. So they're getting high-level training partners still at 16 to 22. So by the time they hit 25, 26, man, this is going to be a whole different sport, a completely different sport. Yep. They're the kind of guys that make me wish that I had started a long time ago.
Sure. And I think that's going to be
being on the bowling team.
There you go. And I think that is going to be the case with the heavyweight division because I think that's the slowest one to come along in terms of depth. Yeah. But I think this show is going to help the reality show. The big guys are going to see these guys out there, and if guys are starting, even if they're playing football in high school, as long as they're doing some kind of martial arts, they could be a pretty sick division, say, 5-6 years from now when all of a sudden 16-year-olds are 24 and 25.
I mean, definitely the skill is evolving. Guys are getting a lot better, a lot quicker. Guys are learning advanced maneuvers really quick. So now, as evolution with the sport, like nowadays, guys are starting off with doing what in 1991 people considered high-level maneuvers. I mean, and then just physically, guys are growing. People are just getting bigger. Todd Duffy,
that's ridiculous.
That dude is 23 years old. Mm-hmm. That dude's a monster, man.
He's an NFL linebacker, essentially.
Yeah, that's what they said that everybody told me because I didn't see the fight live. They said Tim Hand got knocked out with a jab, and I was like, well, what is that about? But then when I saw the arm that jabbed him, I was like, oh, well, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Well, I'll give you a crazy example. We have Roy Nelson on our radio show in Vegas all the time, and he was telling me, and Roy's got 17 professional fights. He's been in there with Arlovsky, and he was saying this guy, Matt Mitrione, who's on the show, who hasn't fought yet, and kind of looks like a clown, but the guy played in the NFL for 4 years. He had a lot of injuries, played at Purdue. He said easily the fastest hands he's ever seen.
Yeah.
And that guy, he's barely worked at it so far, but he's an athlete.
Right. Well, I mean, we've got a 16-year-old kid at the gym who's 5'5" and probably weighs 130 pounds, and he can kick you in the head and kill you, and you won't see it coming. He can kick you in the head and knock you completely unconscious while he's clinching you or hugging you. It doesn't make any sense. But it's the fastest thing in the world. I mean, we've got women at our gym. Like we've got a girl at our gym who's 17 named Rose, and she is a monster, like all around, and it makes us. I mean, it's just scary, man. These guys are the younger youth nowadays. The kids are growing up. I mean, this is all in the media. This wasn't everywhere we looked when I was coming around. I mean, I'm not that old, but when I was growing up, this wasn't. I mean, I was still thinking about doing katas and throwing ninja stars all over the place, But now they're growing up with MMA, with kickboxing, with wrestling and jiu-jitsu. That's the hot thing to do, man. And they're it's scary how good they are.
So, for a while there, before you got into full-fledged MMA, you were known as one of these guys who, worked on people's striking, was a coach, and I think you had the opportunity to work a lot or a little with Hardonk in the past.
A lot. No, we're training partners for 4 or 5 years in Amsterdam. Yeah, I mean, we're still friends till this day. I would like to believe. And no, I was with him. He's one of my closest friends in Amsterdam, like all around. I learned a lot from him. We trained a lot together. I mean, it was talk about me coming out to LA to come train with him a few years back, and that never came around. But yeah, and I know the guy really well.
All right. So what's this like? What's this like having to go in with a killer instinct and also having the advantage on both sides of knowing the other guy and kind of knowing if you're good enough in certain areas and not good enough in others?
Well, we both know that he's better on the ground than I am. Like, we both know that. I don't know. I think his wrestling is a little suspect because he's never – I mean, he strikes with everybody or he's on the ground submitting people. He hasn't gone for any takedowns. According to his fights from what I've seen so far, he wants to keep it on the feet. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't necessarily think that that's really going to be the game plan with me because I don't think he's not gotten in the ring with a guy who's my striking level's here versus, I mean, I'm not balanced out. So I'm pretty sure it's going to start off standing, but he's going to take it to the ground before I do, or he's going to attempt to. I don't mind that we're friends. I mean, people say, how do you feel you're going to fight your friend, man? I think that's great. I mean, who would you be more intimidated getting in the ring versus some big guy you've never seen before or your younger brother? Yeah. Like, I would be a lot less nervous getting in the ring with somebody I know, which is good. Now, the nerves are still there, but I just feel a little bit more comfortable getting in the ring with someone I know. Now, at the same time, that also gets counteracted by the fact that he knows me also, so he knows my strengths and weaknesses. I think this is just going to add up. Our styles are going to add up to a really graphic fight.
All right, good deal. Good exposure for you, too. You're going to be on the spike portion, which brings us to the last thing I wanted to ask about. I mentioned Kimbo a little while ago, and I've had the discussion with fans and readers up on Yahoo and listeners to my radio show on ESPN 1100 in Vegas about Kimbo, and like the MMA purists get all bent out of shape about matchmaking. Because I've said often, listen, they're going to bring Kimbo in. From here forward, when he actually fights in the UFC, they're going to put him in against stand-up guys. It only makes sense. We know he's not going to be champion. So are you one of those guys who would actually be interested in getting a Kimbo fight and not worrying about, they just put him in there against another stand-up guy? To me, that's great matchmaking, and it's a moneymaker.
Well, I mean, Kimbo is a stand-up guy. He's definitely not a ground guy.
That's all he is.
I would like to say that my ground game is better than Kimbo's game, and that's saying a lot. All right. Yeah, no, I'd love to fight. I've been trying to fight Kimbo since before I started fighting, back when I was walking around with swords on my back. Yeah, I'd seen his first video, and I was like, I can take that guy. But no, I mean, I would love
better than Afro Puff and the fat white dude in the by the airplane hangar.
Yeah, man, but that's something I would like to do. I like to fight Kimbo. Because I'm not going to go to the ground with him, so he doesn't have to worry about that. So I would stand and trade with him.
And you don't think there's anything
kick? I might just punch with him.
And you don't think there's anything wrong with that kind of matchmaking, do you? No. I mean, to me, it makes sense. Why would you put him in there against more Roy Nelsons where he's going to get destroyed?
No, man. If the dude's in the UFC, he's in the UFC. That's just a fact. It doesn't matter who it is. It's like people have pointed out to me. They say, "Hey, aren't you that guy that just lost to that other guy in the UFC?" And my response is always, "Yes, that's me." I'm that guy in the UFC that just lost that you were at home watching on TV.
So even in a loss, not the worst thing.
Man, if you're in the UFC, you're on the top of the mountain to fight sport. It doesn't matter if you win or lose. Now, winning is awesome, but once you're in the UFC, that means something. Like, you are good enough to be here, then that says a lot about you. Now, Kimbo Slice, is he physically good enough to be here, or is he more of a marketable name? I don't know, but the world loves him. And as long as he's here, he's going to be treated just like everybody else. I mean, because there's no. I don't believe in the UFC there's any really weak stepping stones. There's a big stone to step over versus a mountain to step over. But there's no. Oh, this fight is nothing. I'm going to walk through this guy. Nah, man. If you're in the UFC, you are here for a reason.